Yo, welcome back to another episode of Yarns with Marns. If you're watching the video version, you'll see this episode is a little bit different today. I'm sitting in my car here, down at the beach, and I'll get straight into it because I guess one of the biggest barriers that I'll share right now for me doing my podcast is my setup. Sometimes, honestly, I just cannot be bothered setting up the microphones, the chairs, the lighting, the cameras, or the camera, and getting my laptop out and making sure the mics are working and all that. And I've been using this camera lately that has a wireless mic. So I guess because my podcast, I'm not a podcast that has guests on and things like that right now anyway. And it's pretty much just me sharing my thoughts. And I don't need to be in my space to be able to share my thoughts. I can take the camera, shout out to Indy, I can take this camera and the mic and just post up anywhere and share my thoughts, which is what I'm going to do in today's episode. Sitting at the beach, got me a coffee. I've had a nice peaceful morning, or did my little morning routine and got myself into a good space to come on and share. So one of the biggest barriers for me so far I've found personally is just finding the energy to set up, like the microphone and lighting and all that stuff. And so this kind of makes it a bit easier being able to share my thoughts this way. And another barrier, I talked about this in the very first episode back, was I just started my basketball season. Basketball season is into full swing of things now. We started last Sunday. Today is Tuesday. And we've just been training every day and had 2 games so far, won one, lost one. But really, I talked about this in my first episode, is I really want to continue doing my podcast throughout this season and pretty much for the rest of my life, or however long I want to keep doing this. And a big barrier for me that I said in the first episode was that it's hard because I'm sharing my thoughts and my feelings and being open and sometimes vulnerable. It's hard playing a competitive sport and putting yourself out there knowing or thinking that people could potentially use that as leverage. Say, for example, if I wanted to come on and share some deep thoughts, or maybe I wanted to come on and share how I've been feeling. And let's say I haven't been feeling the best, and I put that out there, and an opponent listens to that before the game or something like that. And then they have like this psychological edge over me. And that's why I didn't really want to, that's what has held me back at times from sharing what I really want to share. It's because I had those thoughts. But I realized after thinking about that's obviously I've been on this mission or this journey in this journey, I guess, of navigating not worrying about what others think of me. And I feel like I'm doing great at that, or I'm getting way better at that. And doing things like this, putting myself out there, really helps with that. But it's hard when there's sport and stuff involved. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like I have a light to shine, and I always have. And if I was to not share my thoughts and not share my feelings and not do this, what I enjoy doing, what I'm passionate about doing, then it would be a disservice to my soul. It would be a disservice to my mission or into my light, because I would feel like I'm dimming my light by not sharing my thoughts based on what other people would think or what other people would be able to do with my light. And it really made me think a couple of weeks ago. I wrote this down in my notes, and that's what today's episode is about being a show off. And I wrote this down in my notes I remember this one time as a kid, I was playing with my mate Robin on playground at school in the park or whatever. And naturally as a kid, I've always been, or naturally as a person, and I've had this since I was a kid, I've always been out there and extroverted, and a balance of both introvert and extrovert, but I don't feel like I've ever really been shy. I have, but me at my core is not a shy person, I can hold a conversation with, I feel like, anyone, and I can socialize freely. And I feel like if you know me in person, you probably wouldn't associate me with being a shy person. But growing up, going back to the story of me and my mate Robin on the playground at school, I remember I was being loud. I was just being confident and being my usual self, extroverted. Some people would say obnoxious, whatever word you want to use. And I remember Robin's sister said to me, "Marty, you're such a show off." And I was only a kid at the time. And so hearing that as a kid, And then constantly hearing it, she always used to say it. And people used to say that. It was like a common theme of my life, I guess, was people saw me as a show off because I just wasn't shy. I wasn't a shy person. I was quite loud and outgoing and outspoken. But because that was looked at in a negative way as a kid from other people, from their conditioning or whatever, projected onto me, I thought that I shouldn't be a show off. Maybe I should just be quiet. Maybe I should try to reserve myself. Maybe I should try to be the observant one in the room and just be quiet and essentially dim my light. So I grew up thinking that I shouldn't be out there. I shouldn't be loud. I should just be quiet. I should dim my light to make others feel comfortable and to not trigger anyone else's insecurities and things like that. But me at my core, I always felt like I was a loud and not even loud, but just a confident, outgoing person, comfortable in my own skin. I always felt like that at my core. But but because I was surrounded by people that felt uncomfortable by my light and thought that I should dim it and thought that I was being a show off for shining my light, then I thought I had to dim it and I thought I had to be someone to try and fit their narrative. And it reminds me of the line from Coach Carter when he says, I don't even know the exact words, but he says something about there's nothing special about shrinking yourself so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And I guess that's how I felt growing up and still to this day, is that thinking that I should try and shrink myself so that other people won't feel insecure around me or other people won't feel threatened by my light or by my energy. And so I thought I shouldn't be a show off. And I thought maybe I should just try and be the quiet, shy person. And that still shows up in my day, in my life to this day. And it made me think. I met this girl last year towards the end of the year, and we hung out a bit. And I remember the first time we hung out, and we'd never met before. And I remember it was just straight. I was just my usual self, me at my core, my regular, sociable, outgoing, bubbly, vibrant, whatever personality. And I remember at the end of the hangout, we probably hung out for a few hours, and she was like, "You're such an open book. You know, you're happy to share everything, and you're in touch with your feelings and your emotions and things like that. You're happy to share your feelings and your thoughts openly, and you're just an open book." And I loved that because that's who I am at my core. And then I think it was a couple of days later, the next time we hung out or whatever, something popped up, or I would say something like, "I'm shy," and she'll be like, "You're not shy. Like, I know after meeting you for the first time and you weren't shy at all. Like, I know that you're not shy." But it's because that young version of myself that thought I had to be shy or be quieter or dim my light, that young boy is still inside me. So I had someone that appreciated my light, or I had someone that recognized that I was an open book and that I was quite open and not a shy person. But because I wasn't used to that being encouraged, or I was used to someone trying to shoot my light down or tell me to dim my light or be someone else or put me in a box, that I felt like I had to try and be the shy person again. And I was telling her, "No, I get shy sometimes," or whenever I meet people, I'm a bit shy. And I remember one time I met one of her friends, and she was like, and I was just my regular self, and she was like, "See, I remember I met some of her friends, and I was just my regular self, me at my core, how's it going, handshakes, whatever." And she said to me, "See, you're not shy." And I was like, "I know I'm not shy. It's just that young boy in myself, inside myself, still thinks that he has to be shy and still thinks that he's being a show off if he's too loud or too confident or too outgoing, and he just wants to be the quiet person." But that is not me at my core, like I'm not that person. And she made me really think and appreciate myself for exactly who I am. And it reminds me of what I always preach and what I always think about myself, trying to be my most authentic self, is that not everyone is going to fuck with you. And I'm not going to fuck with everyone. That's just life. That's the same way that I don't like every podcast I listen to. I don't expect everyone to like my podcast. And the same with my videos and my posts and all that kind of stuff, because we're just not going to be for everyone. Like, I hear people preach things that just don't resonate with me just because it just doesn't resonate with me. And it reminds me of, you'll never have to shrink yourself around the people that truly appreciate you. And you won't have to pretend to be shy just so that your friends or that your family won't feel triggered or insecure around your light. Like your real ones will appreciate you for exactly who you are. So my point is that me at my core, I've always felt confident, outgoing, comfortable in my own skin, not shy. But because I wanted to try and shrink myself to fit into other people's boxes, or to be someone around to be someone else, or to make someone feel comfortable, I felt like I had to shrink myself and had to dim my light. But like they said in Coach Carter, there is nothing important or special about shrinking your light so that others won't feel insecure around you. And that's what I want to live by. And that's what I want to be throughout this season, is I still just want to shine my light on these platforms, even with the season going on, and even with like my first stint with my podcast, 2022, I was going hard every week, new episode out, until the season came around, because I was just too shy to put myself out there. I don't want to put myself out there and shine my light knowing that my opponents could hear how I feel, or knowing that I'm going to have to share the court with someone that maybe is just kind of in my mind a little bit, because I share things that are in my mind. But because I feel so comfortable, and I feel like self-awareness is a great strength of mine. Like I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know how to regulate myself and all those kinds of things. It makes it more comfortable, because I know that I've got me. If anything happened, I got me. And so I guess today I wanted to just share these thoughts and experiences, because maybe someone could resonate. But also the teaching in it is that we all have our own light to shine. Maybe you at your core are a shy person, but you find your way to shine your light in different ways. Just like I found my ways to shine my light through podcasts, videos, connecting with people, and just making my inner child happy. Because like I said, me at my core is that person. And me shrinking myself to try and make other people feel comfortable doesn't make me feel good inside, because that's not who I am at my core. And so I want to continue doing this podcast, and I want to continue shining my light throughout the season and throughout the rest of my life, or however long, because that's just what makes me happy at my core, and that's what I enjoy doing. Yeah, one of my favorite affirmations is, I am free when I am me. I am free when I am me. So when I am me, I feel good. I feel like I don't have any shackles on. I don't feel like I have to try and be someone to fit someone else's narrative. I just want to be me. And that's the main talk of today. It's just to be you. Be unique. Be your own unique person, your own unique soul. If you think about our journey, what it took to get here, like we all have a different mission. We have a different light to shine. We have different purpose, different upbringings. Everyone's life and journey looks different. And it's like when you have a calling. Your calling isn't a conference call. Your calling is just for you. It's just your own calling. So yeah, my message to you today is to do what makes your soul happy. If you want to shine your light the way you want to shine your light, shine that shit. Because yeah, we're all on our own journey. And that's been a big learning for me, is that I want to just be a show off. If me at my core is a show off, then I'm just going to be a show off. And that's the big learning for me, is that I won't have to dim my light around the people that really love me, or the people that really appreciate me and accept me. And I found that firsthand, because the ones that I have in my circle, they really appreciate me for me. And I love that. And I feel really comfortable around my people because of that. So yeah, hope you got something out of today's episode. If you did, leave me a message, comment, review, share it to your story, anything like that, and I'll reshare it. And we'll keep building this podcast, keep sharing our thoughts, being real, being open, being honest, being vulnerable. And yeah, see you in the next episode. Peace and love.